Hi, I'm Rob Couhig. I'm running for mayor of the city of New Orleans. My ballot number is 20.
Mr. Rob Couhig, thank you so much for your time.
Anthony, it's good to be with you again.
Well, I know, again, huh? NewOrleansBlack.com and our 60,000 viewers are happy that you're here. We're going to use this interview just for 10 minutes to find out a little bit more about you, so I'm going to get right into it. Who are you? Who is Rob Couhig? Let's go back to the childhood. We know the successful businessman you are today, but who were you and what got you to where you are?
Well, two things I think, Anthony, that folks don't know about me. Okay. I mean, I was born in New Orleans. I went to school. I went away to college, came back, practiced law, owned the Zephyrs, owned my pest control company. I have a pretty successful law firm and done some small entrepreneurial investments, as you know. But there are two events, I guess, that people don't know about me that might be of some interest to your viewers. First, when I was 16, my father lost his job, and I got to see how my parents reacted to a real cataclysmic event. Right. They started a restaurant in our home, and went from being very successful, where they were out all the time, to taking care of people in our house, and made a real go of it. And But what I remember about it is no whining, no complaining. They just went to work the next day and got it done. Good. And then for my own sake, I went away to Georgetown. I was very fortunate to have a scholarship, because by then the only way I could go to school was if I earned it. And I lost the scholarship because I was not diligent enough with my studies in that first year. Right. And I realized something else. It's not just ability. You gotta have hard work, and you gotta have determination. And I think those two events have sort of made me, for better or for worse, who I am today.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about who you are today and your leadership style. Again, you've talked about some of the successes that you've been able to garner. What is your leadership style, and what can we expect of you as a mayor? What are you, hands-on? Are you grassroots? Are you more manager, laid back? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, I think my friends on the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority, who cover the spectrum racially and gender-wise, will tell you that they came in and they thought I was going to be this business guy who was, all huffy and puffy. But the truth is, I'm hands-on, but I'm a determined guy. If I tell you we're going to charge up that mountain, you better get ready, because that's the mountain we're going to take. And so I think that what you'll see is the complete opposite of the present mayor. I like to get up and go to work early. I like to stay in town and make it happen. I am committed to it, and I think that there's something else that you probably understand better than anybody who will interview me. Having been a radio talk show host myself, I've learned to listen. Right. I used to know everything, but your listeners call in and they know a lot, and so you'll see a mayor who listens to people, who tries to get done what the people want done, and is really out there working for everybody. Right.
You mentioned charging up a hill, and when that's a goal of yours, you want to make sure that it gets done. Talk to us about what are those goals that New Orleans needs to charge up the hill. What are the things you want to push forward?
Well, I define it as 4 basic categories. I want to make New Orleans livable. So everything I do as mayor, I'll ask that question. Does it make the city more livable? Let me define livable from my perspective. Are we going to take on crime, and are we going to increase the integrity of the police department? Because they go hand in hand. Right. Are we going after blight? Because if you don't get rid of blight, you'll never get rid of crime. Are we going to make our streets safe? I'm talking about being able to walk down them without fear and drive down them without fear. And then finally, can we shop in our town? The second aspect of my campaign and the way I intend to be mayor is every decision has to be, does it make it more affordable for our people? Insurance rates, what am I doing to bring them down? Utility rates, what am I doing to bring them down? Taxes, what am I doing to bring them down? Third thing, and this is, I have some expertise I think in this, am I helping to build the economic opportunities that we want for this city in education, healthcare, the industries that are here? And the fourth thing, and this is vitally important, is every decision I make is it fair and equitable to all of our citizens?
Well, let's talk about that, because clearly you're looking at an audience of 60,000 people 85+% of them are African American.
Right.
And one of the biggest issues that we have, and you certainly have heard me espouse on the radio, is just equity and inclusion. Talk to us about, you as mayor, what will you do to ensure inclusion and fairness and equity?
Well, let me start with, you know, when the experts come and talk to you about the campaign, they say you ought to talk about fairness. To me, it's fairness and equity. And I've learned that in working in the community. I want people at the table making decisions. It shouldn't be that, here's a black issue, let me get a black person to fool with it, you know? Right. These are New Orleans issues. We have a substantial part of our population that's white. It's a substantial part that's black. We have Vietnamese, Spanish. I want people at the table, and I want us to argue and squabble and come up with a common plan we all agree on. Right. Because I really do believe that there is an inherent strength in us working together. But it's not a strength by saying, you know, and I get upset with some of the other candidates, black and white, who try and divide it up and say, well, I've got to be the black candidate, I've got to be the white candidate. Why don't we just start with, I'm going to be the New Orleans candidate? Right.
Well, and on a national level, Barack Obama has been faced with that, with lately having criticism from African Americans and saying it's not my job to just represent your group. So let's talk about that with you. You're running as a Republican in New Orleans. Right. There's a stereotype out there that African Americans do not vote for Republicans, and it's something that I'm against. I'm for African Americans voting for the best candidate. Talk to us about that. What do you think you can expect, or more likely, what would you like of the African American base? Help them consider you as a candidate.
Well, let me start with, I'm not running as a Republican. I happen to be a Republican.
Okay, good point.
You know, John Lindsay was a great mayor of the city of New York, and he happened to be Republican. He said, when somebody calls me up to complain my garbage wasn't picked up, they don't say there's a Republican way to pick it up or a Democratic way. Right. There's a get it picked up. Here's what they can expect of me. They can expect a mayor who is committed to fairness and equity, who wants to make this a great city, who wants to have people employed. I mean, if you want jobs and better jobs, there ain't anybody better than this race than me.
Okay. Well, and talk about that. From an economic development standpoint, why you?
Why me? Unlike, I wasn't born with that, you've heard the story, you know, I've watched my parents work. I've had to work my way up. I understand what it means to meet a payroll. You're familiar with that, huh? Lord. And I understand what businesses want. I'm not going to spend my life running around the country bragging about being the mayor of New Orleans. I'm going to be going down to the city hall and making sure it's open, so when you want to expand your business, you know you got a friend. And not because you know me, anybody who wants to do business in the city. But you're going to have to employ people who are here. We're sitting on $10 billion of explosive opportunity that's going nowhere because we're fighting political battles. That'll never happen on my watch.
Well, I think the good news in that is very little of it's been spent so far.
That is the good news.
So you've got a lot of
opportunity is still there.
Well, good. This has been a great interview. I want to give you an opportunity to, first of all, thank you for coming, and then address our audience, and you'll have about 1 minute or less to do that.
Well, thank you. You know, I've known Anthony since he and I were both radio talk show hosts, and actually a little bit before. I'm running, and it's unique. Of all the candidates, I'm the only one who comes to you as someone who has experience with government, as a lawyer, as a businessman, as a civic activist. You may remember that I volunteered to help Mayor Nagin when he started his second administration. Actually went down to City Hall, pushed and tried to help with him. Worked as a member of the New Orleans Redevelopment Authority to try and redo all of the city. And I think you can see my passions from the fact that we've spread it throughout the city. And also just learning to listen to people. I will commit to you, I will work hard every day with discipline and consistency, and I'll make you proud. I'm Rob Couhig, number 20, candidate for Mayor of New Orleans.